The picture came first. They emailed me a picture and I couldn't print it out. Then we had to send it to Kinko's or to the copy center, and then we had to go get it. And then I was like, really? This isn't really a single piece of, it was in parts. So in glass, when you look at something really like that, you're like, oh, this is one part, that's one part, that's one part. And then I had to come up with a concept to actually make it all one piece, and make it sort of look right. So I think I did pretty good, actually. I don't know, the results are, again, a little rough, but I'm a little rough these days, with what I'm doing, so I think it's pretty good. I think people will be very pleased with their awards this year. Just trying to get it back together the way it was. We're going to do the last mold. Take a little clay. Here's the way this works, is there's a little gap around it, and if we don't fill it in, the plaster will leak out while we're actually pouring the mold, so have to fill in the little gap with some clay. So what I decided was that we're going to do this year, and this technique, the same as what I'm working on now with my art, as opposed to the other kiln cast work that I was doing before for the other award, because I'm always changing. I'm not really the artist that keeps doing the same thing forever and ever and ever again, but I usually work on a series for about 2 years. Usually maybe 2.5. I'll do the same style thing and then I'll move on. Okay, now we're going to get out our fancy vegetable oil spray to replace the high dollar release spray. Give it a little coating on there. We'll make this one very textured since it's our last one. And you can see that it doesn't want to really stick to the surface too much when we're pouring it in there. To run off the surfaces that we want. So that means it's definitely going to... Uh-oh, it's in the way. Oh good, we went back sinking so much to the bottom, not quite. It turns out that they came up with a very complicated little design for this one this year to change for 25 years. And we'll see how long we can make them, but probably this is not going to be very easy to make, and that's one of the reasons why we're making a different technique. It would have been a lot of milling and machining work for me to be able to mill something that thick, so we could have poured it, and then we still would have had the risk of the part not coming out with the hole in the middle for the eye. I recycle glass, so I take waste glass or whatever glass I can get, and it turns out that right now the glass that I'm actually recycling is Perrier bottles that I got. There's a guy over in Oak Lawn that had saved every bottle for the last 20 years he ever drank a Perrier. So basically we have the smashed up bottles, and we just pour it in there and start to fill it up. And this is just slow and tedious work to get it all to be really packed in there, so when it melts down, the temperature will be at 1450 degrees probably. That's what I fired the other kiln the other day. We're going to see what the is today. September the 12th.
Is that expected that they...
Yeah, that it just falls apart. Yeah, we've just baked all the moisture out of it for, a day and a half, and it's kind of crazy with his antenna. We'll trim all that off then in the saw carefully. So we get the saw here. So if anybody's, you see like the little geometric pieces in the bodies and all the pieces from the glass still, that's where I'm always intrigued by what's left. Not just that, yeah, we have the form and the shape is the silhouette, but we actually have this texture that's like tactile of the glass still that's left in my work. And I love that. That's what I think I'm obsessed almost with what's left from the nature of the experimental expressionism part, where I just get it in motion and put it into play, and then there are these things that I don't ever get to make. You know, I don't really control that part. And that's really, when you look at my bigger cast work and you look at these things, you start to really see that little detail and the weird little bits, that the way they went together. And I never know what I get. It's a random play-by-play moment. So,
how much of it is that you're using recycled materials?
Oh, I'd say 80% of what I'm doing is because of that. You know, I do try sometimes within the patterning of the pieces I have, I do arrange them sometimes in a sort of spatial arrangement, but then even though I do that, you could see in some of the things where other results happen still, not from me. So basically we're going to hang the award similar to the way I'm hanging it. We're going to hang the bolt through his eye, and we're going to bolt him up so he hangs on the stand. Ta-da! There's your award, young lady. 25th year video festival award. Pretty rough. I like it though, you know. One more unquestionable thing made by Brad Abrams.